Ladies and gentlemen, today we are here to explore a powerful truth, one that many of us might struggle to fully understand at times. God removed them for a reason. You see, there is a divine plan for your life. And every person, every event, and every season has its place in that plan. Sometimes God allows certain people to come into our lives, but not everyone is meant to stay. It's not about rejection, it's about purpose. There are moments in life when we look at the people we once thought were indispensable to our happiness, to our journey, and wonder why they're no longer around. But here's the truth. Their removal is not a setback. It's part of God's divine strategy for your growth. God removes them so you can grow. Every time something or someone is taken away, you're challenged to look within. You're challenged to tap into a deeper strength, a deeper faith that you didn't know you had. Your potential doesn't grow in your comfort zone. It grows in the places that push you. Sometimes removal is the very catalyst for your elevation. We must remember God is sovereign. When someone is removed from your life, it's not a punishment. It's not something that happened by accident. It's part of a bigger picture, a bigger plan that you may not see in this moment, but you will one day. And you'll look back and say, had they stayed, I wouldn't be where I am today. In fact, many of us hold on to people, situations, and relationships that are not meant for our destiny. We cling to things that hinder us, not realizing that God's purpose for us requires that we move forward, sometimes alone, sometimes with new companions, but always with a clearer vision of our future. Each time God removes someone or something, it's an invitation to embrace the new. God doesn't take away just to leave a void. He removes to make space for something better. The things that are removed might not always be comfortable, but they open the door for growth, for expansion, for divine connections. But here's where we often miss it. We fail to let go in peace. We hold on to bitterness, pain, or regret, not understanding that the very act of holding on can prevent us from walking into the greater things God has in store. Let go with faith, knowing that what is taken away is not a loss, but a redirection. So, what can we learn from this? Trust in God's timing. Trust that He knows exactly what He's doing. Trust that as He removes people from your life, He's making room for something new, something better, something that will align with the purpose He has destined for you. Let go of the things that no longer serve you and make room for the greater things that are on their way. Embrace the new, because God has something bigger and better in store for you. He removed them for a reason, and that reason is to prepare you for your future. Divine purpose is one of the most powerful and transformative concepts in life. It is the understanding that each of us is here for a reason far greater than just our daily routines or desires. It's a higher calling, a unique destiny that we are meant to fulfill, whether we see it clearly or not. When we begin to comprehend the depth of divine purpose, it shifts our entire perspective on life's challenges, our relationships, and our decisions. The truth is that every single person and event in our lives is intricately connected to this divine purpose. There are no coincidences, no random occurrences. Every person you encounter, every experience you go through shapes you, molds you, and leads you toward the fulfillment of the purpose you were created for. That means there is a divine intention behind every relationship, every encounter, every season of growth. and even the times of loss. It may not always make sense in the moment, but when we begin to align ourselves with this truth, we start to see the hand of God guiding us, shaping us, and refining us. When we realize that our lives are part of a greater plan, it becomes easier to trust the process. Even when we face difficulties or experience heartache, we can hold on to the belief that there's a reason behind it. Maybe the people we've lost or the things that didn't work out weren't meant for us in the long run. Maybe they were only a part of the journey. And that's okay, because God in his wisdom removes certain things from our lives to make room for the greater purpose he has set for us. Living with the awareness of divine purpose brings clarity and direction. We stop being tossed to and fro by the whims of life. Instead, we begin to make decisions with intention, knowing that each choice we make is either taking us closer to or further from the destiny we were created to fulfill. Even in moments of confusion or pain, the knowledge that our purpose remains intact gives us peace. It allows us to keep moving forward, trusting that God is not just guiding our steps, but also closing doors when they need to be closed, knowing that there is something better ahead. The beauty of understanding divine purpose is that it frees us from feeling like we have to control everything. It teaches us to trust the process, even when we don't understand why things happen the way they do. It assures us that no matter what happens in our lives, we are not victims of circumstance. Instead, we are active participants in a grand, divine narrative that is unfolding with every moment, every relationship, and every challenge. We are being led by a higher power toward the fulfillment of a destiny designed just for us. Growth through removal is one of the most profound yet often misunderstood principles in life. We tend to associate loss or separation with pain, frustration, and setbacks. When something or someone is taken away from us, whether it's a relationship, a job, or even an opportunity, the immediate reaction is often one of, however, if we begin to understand that growth often comes through such removal, we can shift our perspective and begin to see these moments as opportunities rather than setbacks. The truth is that when things are removed from our lives, it forces us to confront our own weaknesses, limitations, and fears. Without these periods of stripping away, we would never be forced to grow beyond where we are. It's in the moments of loss and change that we are compelled to dig deeper within ourselves to discover strengths we didn't even know we had. We are challenged to adapt, to reassess, and to move forward in ways we hadn't imagined. Every time God removes something or someone from our lives, he is making space for growth. It may not seem like it at first. The void left behind may feel overwhelming, as if there's a gaping hole where something or someone used to be, but in that emptiness, there is potential. In that space, new opportunities and new perspectives are waiting to emerge. The removal allows us to get rid of the things that were holding us back, whether consciously or unconsciously, and forces us to step into a higher version of ourselves. There are parts of us that can only grow in the absence of certain things. Sometimes we hold on to relationships, jobs, or habits because they provide comfort, even if they aren't serving our higher purpose. These attachments, however, can act as anchors that keep us from moving forward. When they are removed, it's like breaking free from chains, allowing us to soar to new heights. We may not realize it in the moment, but when something is taken from us, it's often because we have outgrown it. And for our growth to continue, it had to be removed. This concept isn't just about letting go of external things. Sometimes it's about letting go of our own limiting beliefs, fears, or insecurities. These are the things that prevent us from stepping into the fullness of our purpose and potential. When we're stripped of everything that's not essential, whether it's a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or our own doubts, we are forced to confront the deeper truths of who we are and what we are truly capable of. That is where the growth happens. It's essential to understand that growth through removal doesn't always mean that something was inherently wrong or bad. Sometimes the things that are removed are good in their own right, but they simply aren't aligned with the greater plan for our lives. In these cases, the removal isn't a punishment, but a redirection. God knows what we need, and he knows when something has served its purpose and when it's time to move on. And even though we may not always understand the reasons at the time, we must trust that the removal is part of a bigger picture, one that leads to our ultimate development and fulfillment. Growth through removal is about trusting the process of life and learning to embrace the changes that come. Every time something or someone is taken away, it's a chance to reassess, realign, and step into a new level of understanding and capability. We are being shaped and refined into the person we are meant to be, and this requires not just addition, but also subtraction. The empty spaces in our lives are not to be feared. They are the fertile ground where the seeds of our future are planted. Through removal, we find the strength, resilience, and clarity to move forward into a brighter, more purposeful tomorrow. God's sovereignty is a concept that carries profound depth and significance. To understand God's sovereignty is to grasp the reality that he is supreme, in control of everything, and that nothing happens by chance or coincidence. His power and authority extend over all creation, and his plans are never thwarted, no matter how chaotic or uncertain life may appear. The truth of God's sovereignty brings peace to our hearts because it reassures us that even when things seem beyond our control, he is always in control. Nothing escapes his sight or his will. When we acknowledge that God is sovereign, we also understand that his wisdom far surpasses our own. There are times in life when things don't make sense, when the path ahead seems unclear or even painful. We may experience loss, disappointment, or confusion. And in those moments, it's easy to feel as though life is out of our hands. But when we remember that God is sovereign, we can have confidence that even in the midst of what seems like chaos, he is orchestrating everything with a purpose. What may appear as setbacks or closed doors are actually part of his divine plan, shaping us for a greater future. God's sovereignty means that he sees the bigger picture, one that we may not yet understand. Our perspective is limited to the here and now, to our current circumstances and emotions. But God, with his infinite wisdom, sees the end from the beginning. He knows the exact timing of when things need to happen in our lives, and he knows how all the pieces fit together, even when we don't. This should bring us great comfort. We don't need to have all the answers because God already does. We can trust that he's working in ways we may not always recognize, but that are always for our good. Part of recognizing God's sovereignty is acknowledging that his timing is perfect. We often become frustrated when things don't happen according to our timeline. We want things to move faster, to unfold according to our own plans and desires. But God's ways are higher than ours, and his timing is always exactly what we need. Sometimes he removes certain people, situations, or opportunities from our lives, and we can't understand why. But in those moments, we must trust that he's leading us in the direction that aligns with our ultimate purpose. His sovereignty means that he knows exactly when to open a door and when to close one, for our protection and growth. Recognizing God's sovereignty also means that we can let go of the need to control everything. We often cling tightly to our plans, trying to force outcomes in our favor. But when we understand that God is sovereign, we release that control and surrender to his will. This surrender isn't about giving up. It's about trusting that God has a far greater plan than we could ever create for ourselves. It's about submitting to his leadership in our lives and being willing to follow his guidance, even when the path seems uncertain or difficult. His sovereignty assures us that we are never alone in this journey, and we are always under his watchful care. God's sovereignty also teaches us that his love for us is unshakable. When we go through trials and face challenges, it's easy to wonder where God is in all of it. But his sovereignty means that he is always present, always active, and always working for our good, even when we can't see or feel his presence. Nothing can separate us from his love, and his sovereign hand is always at work, even in the most challenging moments of our lives. We may not understand everything that happens to us, but we can rest in the truth that God's love and his sovereign plan are always for our benefit, our growth, and our ultimate fulfillment. The beauty of God's sovereignty is that it allows us to live with a deep sense of peace and assurance, knowing that he holds all things in his hands. No matter the obstacles, no matter the trials, we can trust that God is always in control, always working things out for our good, and always guiding us toward the fulfillment of his perfect will. When we live with this understanding, it transforms how we view the world, how we approach challenges, and how we interact with others. It frees us from the fear of uncertainty because we know that the one who is sovereign over all is also the one who loves us most deeply. The power of letting go is one of the most liberating and transformative principles we can embrace in life. It's not just about releasing physical things, but it's about letting go of mental, emotional, and spiritual burdens that weigh us down. So much of our pain and frustration come from holding on to things, people, or situations that no longer serve our higher purpose. When we cling to what is familiar, even if it's harmful or unproductive, we keep ourselves tethered to a past that prevents us from stepping into the future we were meant to experience. Letting go is the act of consciously deciding to release what no longer aligns with our growth, our peace, and our... For many of us, letting go is incredibly difficult. We are naturally inclined to hold on, to control, to fix things. The fear of loss or the unknown keeps us attached to the familiar, even when it's clear that we're outgrowing it. But what we often fail to realize is that in holding on so tightly, we prevent ourselves from experiencing the new opportunities and blessings that God has prepared for us. Letting go isn't a sign of weakness. It's an act of strength, trust, and courage. It requires a willingness to release control and to trust that something better is waiting on the other side of that release. The process of letting go isn't instantaneous. It often involves grieving, processing, and reflecting on what has been lost. Whether it's a relationship that has ended, a job that didn't turn out as we hoped, or an idea of the future that no longer fits who we are becoming, the emotional toll can be real. But even in the midst of the pain, there's a profound truth. In letting go, we create space for new things to enter our lives. This space, this openness, is essential for our growth. When we hold on to the past or to unhealthy attachments, we limit the possibilities for the future. Letting go is the first step in moving forward. At the heart of letting go is trust. Trust in ourselves, in the process of life, and in the divine guidance that is leading us. It requires us to have faith that there is something greater in store for us, even if we can't see it yet. We have to trust that God knows what's best for us and that his timing is perfect. Sometimes we can't see the bigger picture in the moment, but letting go is an act of faith that God is working behind the scenes for our good, even when things don't look the way we want them to. Letting go also requires us to embrace the idea of release without bitterness. Often we hang on to past hurts, disappointments, or grudges because we feel justified in holding on to them. But holding on to resentment only keeps us tied to the very things that hurt us. True freedom comes when we release these feelings and forgive, not for the other person's sake, but for our own. When we forgive and let go of the pain, we free ourselves from the chains of the past and allow ourselves to heal. One of the most powerful aspects of letting go is the emotional and mental clarity that follows. As we let go of what no longer serves us, we begin to make room for new perspectives, new experiences, and new relationships. We start to see life with a clearer vision, one that's not clouded by past wounds or attachments. This clarity allows us to move forward with greater confidence and purpose, knowing that we are no longer weighed down by the things we've left behind. Letting go also means accepting that change is a natural part of life. Change can be scary, especially when it forces us to leave behind what we know. But change is essential for growth. Without change, we would remain stagnant, trapped in cycles that prevent us from reaching our full potential. When we embrace the power of letting go, we are embracing the flow of life itself, the ever-moving current that pushes us toward new horizons, new opportunities, and new versions of ourselves. The power of letting go lies in the freedom it brings, the freedom to release what no longer aligns with who we are becoming, the freedom to trust in the process of life, knowing that God is guiding us toward our highest good, the freedom to move forward without the weight of the past holding us back. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about letting in. The new experiences, new people, new opportunities, and most importantly, the new version of ourselves that can only emerge when we allow ourselves the freedom to move forward. When we let go, we make room for everything that is meant to come. And that is where true growth begins. Discerning relationships is a crucial skill that can shape the course of our lives. It's not just about being able to judge whether someone is good or bad, but about understanding whether a relationship aligns with our purpose, values, and growth. Often, we enter into relationships, whether personal, professional, or social, without truly considering the deeper impact they will have on our lives. We may be drawn to people because of familiarity, comfort, or even attraction, but it's essential to recognize that not every person we encounter is meant to stay or is healthy for us in the long run. The ability to discern the right relationships helps us surround ourselves with individuals who contribute to our well-being, growth, and alignment with our divine purpose. In discerning relationships, the first thing we must acknowledge is that not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. People come into our lives for different reasons and at different seasons, and sometimes the purpose they serve is temporary. Some individuals are sent to teach us lessons, while others may help us build and grow, and still others may challenge us in ways that push us toward becoming the best version of ourselves. Now, understanding the season a relationship is meant to last in allows us to release it when that season is over without bitterness or regret. Holding on to relationships that are no longer aligned with our purpose can hinder our progress and prevent us from stepping into new seasons of growth and opportunity. To discern the right relationships, we must learn to listen to the inner guidance that comes from our intuition, as well as the wisdom we gain through life experiences. There is often a sense deep within us that tells us whether a relationship is healthy or toxic. Sometimes we ignore these feelings, thinking we can make it work, or that we are supposed to give people a chance even when something feels off. But true discernment requires us to trust our inner voice and be honest with ourselves about the dynamics of the relationships we are in. If something feels draining, if there's a consistent lack of respect, or if the relationship brings more negativity than positivity into our lives, we need to ask ourselves whether it's truly worth holding on to. A key part of discerning relationships is recognizing the impact a person has on your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Relationships are meant to add value to our lives, not subtract from it. If someone consistently brings stress, confusion, or negativity into your life, it's important to evaluate whether that relationship is serving your highest good. On the other hand, healthy relationships should bring peace, joy, and encouragement. They should challenge us to grow in positive ways, make us feel supported, and help us become more of who we are meant to be. When we are discerning, we realize that it's okay to let go of relationships that don't align with this energy. Another essential aspect of discernment in relationships is understanding the difference between needs and wants. Often we stay in relationships because of unmet needs, whether it's emotional, financial, or psychological. We may want companionship, validation, or support, but sometimes we settle for relationships that aren't healthy or fulfilling because they temporarily meet these desires. True discernment requires us to recognize when we're staying in a relationship out of a desire for validation or comfort, rather than out of genuine mutual respect and love. When we learn to meet our own needs through self-love, healing, and personal growth, we stop relying on others to fill gaps that only we can fill for ourselves. In discerning relationships, we must also recognize the importance of alignment. Our values, beliefs, and long-term goals need to align with those we choose to surround ourselves with. This doesn't mean that every relationship must be perfectly identical in values, but there should be a common thread of understanding and respect. If someone's values consistently clash with ours, if there's a constant disconnect between our goals, or if we find ourselves compromising our integrity to maintain the relationship, it's time to reconsider whether this relationship is truly worth investing in. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect for each other's beliefs, goals, and life vision. Discerning relationships requires patience and perspective. Not every red flag is immediately apparent, and not every relationship that initially feels good will stay that way. Sometimes time and experience help us to see people and situations for what they truly are. Relationships evolve, and as they do, we need to be willing to adjust our understanding of them. Discerning relationships doesn't mean we make snap judgments or immediately cut people off. It means we take the time to observe, reflect, and allow people to show us who they really are. When we approach relationships with patience and perspective, we give ourselves the space to make wise, well-informed decisions about who we allow into our lives. Discerning relationships is about surrounding ourselves with people who help us grow, encourage our dreams, and align with our values. It's about being wise enough to know when to let go of relationships that no longer serve us, and brave enough to step into new connections that will uplift, inspire, and support us. When we learn to discern wisely, we begin to attract relationships that contribute to our growth, peace, and divine purpose. Lessons in separation are some of the most powerful and transformative experiences we can have in life. Separation, whether it's from a person, a situation, or a phase of life, can be one of the most painful processes we endure, yet it often carries the greatest potential for growth. When we are separated from something or someone we have become attached to, It forces us to face ourselves in ways that would not be possible if we were still in those familiar circumstances. Separation challenges us to reevaluate our priorities, our understanding of love and attachment, and most importantly, our own resilience and ability to navigate change. At its core, separation teaches us about the importance of letting go. For many of us, holding on to what is familiar, whether it's a relationship, a job, or a phase of life, is comforting. It provides a sense of stability, even if that stability is unhealthy or no longer aligned with our growth. But separation, though difficult, is often a necessary step toward healing and transformation. It's through this letting go that we make space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new versions of ourselves to emerge. The emotional pain we experience in separation is not a sign of failure. Rather, it is the process through which we release old attachments that no longer serve us and make room for the new things that God or life has in store for us. Separation also teaches us about independence and self-sufficiency. Often we rely too heavily on others for our sense of identity, worth, or emotional stability. When we experience separation, we are forced to look inward and rediscover who we are outside of that relationship or situation. This period can be incredibly empowering because we are given the chance to reconnect with ourselves, to redefine our own values, and to reclaim our own sense of power. We realize that we are whole, complete individuals, capable of standing on our own and walking forward without the crutch of external validation or attachment. One of the most profound lessons in separation is the ability to find strength in vulnerability. Separation often brings with it a deep sense of loss, vulnerability, and uncertainty. We may feel exposed, unsure of where we belong or how we will move forward. But it's in these moments of vulnerability that we often discover our greatest strengths. We are forced to confront our fears, our insecurities, and our doubts. But we also realize that we can survive and even thrive in the face of uncertainty. The strength we gain from separation is not the kind that comes from never feeling pain, but from facing that pain head on and realizing that we have the resilience to move through it. In addition to self-discovery, separation teaches us about the impermanence of life. Nothing lasts forever, whether it's people, seasons, or circumstances. The relationships or situations we hold on to today may not be with us tomorrow, and that's not a reflection of our worth, but simply a reminder of the ebb and flow of life. Separation, in this sense, can be a profound lesson in accepting that change is inevitable. Instead of resisting or fearing change, we learn to embrace it as a natural part of life cycle. This acceptance allows us to live more fully in the present, appreciating what we have while we have it without clinging to it for fear of losing it. Through separation, we also learn about the power of forgiveness and letting go of resentment. Often, separation is accompanied by feelings of betrayal, anger, or hurt, especially if the separation was not our choice. But one of the greatest lessons we can learn through this process is that forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for ourselves. Holding on to anger or resentment only keeps us tethered to the past. And the more we hold on to those negative feelings, the more we keep ourselves stuck in a cycle of pain. Forgiveness releases us from that cycle, allowing us to move forward with a lighter heart, free of the emotional weight of bitterness. Separation also teaches us about timing and divine orchestration. Sometimes we feel that separation is premature or unfair. We question why something had to end or why someone had to leave. But in time, we often realize that these separations were part of a larger plan, one that we couldn't see in the moment. The timing may not have been what we wanted, but it was what we needed, sincere. God or life works in mysterious ways, and the lessons we learn through separation often become clear only after we've had the space to grow and reflect. What seemed like a loss at the time may turn out to be a blessing in disguise, guiding us towards something greater that we couldn't have imagined when we were still holding on. One of the most empowering lessons in separation is the realization that we are never truly alone. When we experience separation, we may feel abandoned or isolated, but the truth is that we are always surrounded by opportunities for connection. Whether it's through family, friends, faith, or a sense of purpose, we are never left to navigate life's challenges entirely on our own. Separation can teach us to rely not just on others, but on our inner strength, on our relationship with God, and on the knowledge that everything happens for a reason. The end of one chapter in our lives is not the end of our story. It's simply the beginning of a new one. Through separation, we are given the opportunity to grow in ways we never could have imagined. We learn to let go, to find strength in vulnerability, to embrace change, and to forgive. We become more independent, more resilient, and more connected to our true selves and to the divine purpose that guides us. Though it is painful, separation is a teacher in disguise, offering us lessons that prepare us for the next chapter in our journey. Faith in the bigger picture is one of the most powerful elements of a life lived with purpose and peace. It's about trusting that there's a larger plan unfolding, even when we can't see all the pieces or understand the purpose behind what's happening in the moment. So often when we face challenges, setbacks, or disappointments, we focus only on what's in front of us, the immediate problem, the obstacle, or the heartache. In those times, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that what we're experiencing is only a small part of a much grander design. Faith in the bigger picture requires us to look beyond the temporary, the immediate, and to believe that everything is happening for a reason, even if we don't fully understand it. Life journey isn't a straight path. It's filled with twists, turns, and unexpected detours. What we may perceive as a delay, a setback, or even a failure might actually be a step in the right direction. When we cultivate faith in the bigger picture, we begin to see these moments as opportunities for growth and refinement, rather than as obstacles or dead ends. We realize that in the grand scheme of things, these challenges are shaping us, preparing us, and molding us into the person we are meant to become. Even when things don't go as planned, we trust that there is a purpose behind it all, and that this purpose will eventually become clear. One of the key components of faith in the bigger picture is the ability to surrender to what is. We often struggle with control, wanting to steer every aspect of our lives in the direction we've envisioned. But life doesn't always unfold according to our timetable or our expectations. The sooner we learn to surrender to the flow of life, the more peace we find. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the need to micromanage every detail, and instead trusting that the universe, God, or whatever higher power we believe in has a plan for us that is far greater than what we could orchestrate on our own. When we surrender, we stop resisting what's happening and open ourselves to the possibility that this moment, this challenge, this change is part of something far greater than we can yet see. Having faith in the bigger picture also means embracing uncertainty. We don't always know what the future holds. There will be moments when we feel unsure about our next step, or when we feel like we're in a season of waiting. It's easy to become frustrated or anxious in these periods of uncertainty. But faith in the bigger picture requires us to trust that even when we don't have all the answers, everything is working out as it should. Even when we can't see the end result, we trust that there is a purpose behind every season and every experience. And while the road may not always be clear, we hold onto the belief that we are being led in the right direction, step by step. Another aspect of faith in the bigger picture is trusting the timing of life. Often we find ourselves rushing, pushing, or trying to force things to happen on our terms. We might look around and see others achieving their goals or reaching milestones that we haven't yet reached, which can make us feel inadequate or left behind. But when we trust in the bigger picture, we understand that everything unfolds in its own perfect time. There's no need to compare our journey with anyone else's, because each of us has a unique path. The moments we think we're falling behind may actually be moments of preparation, and the things that seem delayed might be opportunities to refine our character, skills, or understanding. Trusting in the timing of life allows us to embrace where we are without the pressure of trying to rush to the next phase. Patience is an essential part of faith in the bigger picture. The process of life takes time, and we are often asked to wait, whether it's waiting for a dream to manifest, waiting for the right relationship to come into our lives, or waiting for a season of struggle to pass. Patience is a necessary virtue for trusting in the bigger picture. We cannot rush growth, healing, or development. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a strong tree, we too require time to fully step into who we are meant to be. During these waiting periods, it's important to remember that every moment is contributing to our evolution, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Faith in the bigger picture also invites us to trust that every experience serves a purpose. Even in the darkest, most painful times, there is a lesson, a blessing, or a deeper understanding waiting to be revealed. It's often said that we learn more from our struggles than from our successes. This doesn't mean we should seek out hardship, but it does mean that when we do face difficulties, we can have faith that there is something valuable to be gained. Our experiences, both positive and negative, shape us, teach us, and lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. With faith in the bigger picture, we come to see that every experience, no matter how challenging, is contributing to our growth and our journey. Faith in the bigger picture is about seeing beyond the present moment. It's about stepping back and trusting that everything we go through is part of a larger narrative. Sometimes we can get so caught up in the details of our lives, focusing only on the immediate issues and struggles, that we lose sight of the bigger story unfolding. But when we have faith, we begin to see how each chapter, each page, each paragraph is connected, even if we don't fully understand how. And when we hold on to that belief, we can approach life with a sense of peace and purpose, knowing that we are being led to where we need to be, and that every step, even the difficult ones, are guiding us to a greater destiny. Faith in the bigger picture teaches us that our lives are part of something much grander, and that we are not alone on this journey. Embracing the new is one of the most important and sometimes challenging steps we can take in our personal growth and spiritual journey. It's easy to get comfortable with what we know, with the routines and patterns that provide us a sense of security. However, life is a constant evolution, and to truly grow, we must be willing to step into the unknown and embrace the changes that come our way. The new can be intimidating. It may bring uncertainty, discomfort, and fear of the unfamiliar. But it is also where our greatest opportunities lie. When we open ourselves up to the new, we open ourselves to a world of possibilities that we could never experience by staying in the safety of the old. When we embrace the new, we are faced with the opportunity to expand beyond our current limitations. Often we find ourselves stuck in certain ways of thinking or behaving because they feel safe and familiar. But staying in these limited spaces can stunt our growth. Embracing the new means allowing ourselves to explore different perspectives, to try new things, and to challenge the beliefs and habits that no longer serve us. It requires us to become comfortable with discomfort, to venture beyond the boundaries of what we know and into the realm of what we have yet to discover. Through this process, we stretch our potential and begin to see the world through a different lens, one that is full of limitless opportunity. Part of embracing the new is learning to let go of what no longer serves us. This often means saying goodbye to things, people, or situations that we've outgrown. While these things may have served us in the past, holding on to them too tightly can prevent us from moving forward. Letting go is not always easy. It can bring up feelings of grief, fear, or even guilt, especially when it involves people or situations we've been attached to for a long time. But in letting go, we create space for the new to enter our lives. We make room for new relationships, new opportunities, and new experiences that are aligned with the person we are becoming. We come to realize that in order to step into the fullness of what life has to offer, we must be willing to release the old to make way for the new. Embracing the new also involves a mindset shift. Instead of viewing change or the unfamiliar as something to fear, we begin to see it as an invitation to grow. Every time we encounter something new, we are given the chance to learn, adapt, and evolve. The unknown can be seen as a fertile ground for discovery, a space where we can tap into our creativity, resilience, and inner strength. When we approach new experiences with an open mind and heart, we shift from a mindset of resistance to one of curiosity and possibility. This shift allows us to navigate change with confidence, knowing that we have the ability to adapt and flourish in any situation. The fear of the unknown often comes from a place of uncertainty about the outcome. We worry that we might fail, that things won't work out the way we hope, or that we won't be able to handle what's ahead. But the truth is that we don't need to know the outcome in advance to take the first step. Life is not about knowing every detail before we begin. It's about having the courage to step forward anyway. The beauty of embracing the new is that it often leads us to unexpected places. places that are far better than what we could have planned for ourselves. When we trust that we are being guided towards something greater, we can let go of the need for certainty and take the leap into the unknown. Embracing the new also means embracing change within ourselves. Often, the reason we resist new experiences or changes in our lives is because we fear that we will have to change who we are in the process. But the truth is, change is not just external, it's internal. Embracing the new forces us to examine who we are, what we believe, and what we want from life. It challenges us to grow into the person we are meant to be, shedding all layers of fear, doubt, or limiting beliefs. Change allows us to evolve into a more authentic version of ourselves, one that is better equipped to handle the challenges and blessings that come with embracing the new. As we embrace the new, we also become more resilient. The act of stepping into unfamiliar territory teaches us how to bounce back from setbacks, how to keep going in the face of difficulty, and how to trust ourselves and our abilities. Each time we embrace something new, we gain confidence in our own capacity to handle whatever comes our way. Resilience is built through experience. And the more we expose ourselves to new things, the more we strengthen our inner resolve. Embracing the new is not about avoiding difficulty. It's about learning how to navigate it with grace, confidence, and strength. Embracing the new means opening ourselves to new relationships and experiences. As we grow, we attract new people into our lives who align with our current energy and vision. The new relationships we build, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, often bring fresh perspectives, new insights, and valuable connections that can elevate our lives in ways we never anticipated. These new relationships challenge us, inspire us, and help us expand our horizons. Just as we evolve, the people around us evolve too, and embracing the new allows us to connect with those who are on a similar journey of growth and transformation. Through all of this, embracing the new requires faith and trust. Faith that the unknown will lead us to where we need to go, and trust that the changes we experience are part of a larger plan designed for our ultimate good. We may not always understand why certain things are happening or where the path will ultimately lead, but we trust that it's leading us to something greater. Faith in the new is the belief that every change, every shift, and every unfamiliar moment is part of our story, contributing to the unfolding of our destiny. To truly embrace the new is to embrace life itself. Life is constantly evolving, and to live fully, we must be willing to move with it. The new is where our growth lies. It's where we find the lessons, the blessings, and the experiences that shape who we are. When we learn to embrace the new, we discover that we are more adaptable. We step into a life that is rich with possibility. We get a deep understanding that everything, good or bad, is a stepping stone leading us toward a greater, more fulfilled version of ourselves. Embrace the new, and you embrace the full, vibrant journey of life. As we stand on the threshold of new beginnings, it's important to remember that embracing the new is not just about stepping into unfamiliar territory. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves. Change, though often uncomfortable, is the doorway to our greatest growth, transformation, and fulfillment. Every new experience, every challenge, and every shift in our lives is an opportunity for us to evolve into the person we were always meant to be. The courage to embrace the new is the key to unlocking the boundless potential that lies within each of us. So let go of the fear, release the old, and step forward with faith, knowing that the unknown holds the power to lead you to a life far greater than you could have ever imagined. Remember, the best chapters of your story have yet to be written. Embrace the new, and watch as your life unfolds in ways that will inspire and uplift you beyond measure. The time for transformation is now. Step into it with confidence, because the new is waiting to meet you at every turn.